Hey y'all, welcome back to the party. It is me, your girl BrittReacts, and today we're going to react via a kind suggestion. This is a video featuring Richard Dawkins, and the topic is evolution versus religion, which I've been questioning a lot about just because I don't necessarily know where the line is. So I'm excited to hear from Mr. Dawkins and his take on this. Let's see what it is.
Richard, you have, of course, famously dealt with both evolution and religion in different perspectives, and I'd like to get your overview thinking on putting the two words together. I'm personally less interested in the pedagogical approach of what should be taught in schools, because science should be taught, and that's a political issue. I'm not so interested in that, but interested in things like the how religion came about, how the tension between evolution and religion seems in most cases today, at least at the leadership level of religions, have accepted evolution. How do you reflect on this whole process? You've dealt with both for decades.
I'm not quite sure what you're asking there.
Just asking you to reflect on evolution and religion.
Well, I think supernatural religion is a very interesting scientific theory, which is wrong.
Okay.
But it's profoundly interesting in the sense that, or important in the sense that if it were right, it would be a very different kind of world we live in. So I'm not one of those who says, well, it's nothing to do with science, you can believe if you like and leave me out of it.
Right.
I mean, it is very important scientific theory. If there really is some kind of brooding great spirit at the base of the universe which created everything and supervises everything, then that is a totally different kind of universe from one where there is no such creature. And so...
Oh, wow. Okay. If you're new here or you haven't watched any of my reactions to some of the extinct zoo, and there was another channel that I watched, something that kind of unfolded all this for me, but just like learning about evolution, the Neanderthals, and like all the other things in between. I am a born-again Christian. I love the Lord. I absolutely am more about relationship than I am about religion, though. I think religion is I just think religion has been really tainted and really taken over by man, and what man meaning like humans, like just everyday flesh beings that have decided that religion is going to work in the way they want it to work on their terms to benefit them. But I do absolutely believe in a relationship and God as my ultimate savior and higher power, and I do have faith in that. I, however, am not requesting, or saying that you have to believe that. I respect everyone in their own beliefs, but nothing you type in the comments is going to change how I feel. I just want to be clear about that. So in my just kind of discovery of this sector of the internet and learning more about the evolution and the theories and all these things, I have begun to question, like, where does this lie on the timeline of religion? Because as the Bible says, God created the world in 7 days, and first he created light, and then every day for 7 days it was something or the other, and I'm paraphrasing obviously for the sake of this reaction video, but and so my question is, where does that fall on the line of evolution, if it does at all? And if we evolved in the way that scientists and evolutionists are telling us, where does religion fall? Do they fall in the same timeline, or does one have to exist for the other? Like, does one have to not exist for the other to exist? This has been my question overwhelmingly so, and I'm so glad someone sent this to me. I did Google Richard Dawkins just to see like the validity, like do a little like, is this the right person to be listening to? And his titles are, I think, more than enough for me to at least consider his point of view. I've watched a lot of, well, not a lot of, but enough content from different atheists and their point of views, but I've never really gotten the perspective from a scientist. I also saw, which maybe we need to be reacting to a little bit, that Richard and Mr. Jordan Peterson do not like each other. It might just be like on a professional level, but seems there's some beef in the pot. I don't know. Anywho, I just want to give you a little bit of background of why we're here and why I was so intrigued by this suggestion, because I am absolutely interested in just getting to know more and understand. I don't recall learning a lot about evolution in school, and I do agree that science should be in schools and perhaps religion should not be, because again, I feel like beliefs are very much relational, and a teacher should not be teaching those things. And given all of the different beliefs on this planet, one can't be taught in schools. So I do agree with that. But anyway, that's my spiel.
From one where there is no such creature. And so I think it's a scientific question. It doesn't mean you can answer it scientifically necessarily, but I think we can think about it scientifically. And I do so, and have concluded that it's highly unlikely that there is such a great spirit. Where it affects my own field of evolutionary biology, of course, is that it's a direct competitor in that there are the organized religion, Christianity and Islam and Judaism, all subscribe to, in their fundamentalist form, subscribe to a book which proposes a myth which is scientifically false. And so to that extent I have to be involved in controversy because the evolution is true, and we need to educate people about it.
Many people.
So what I am understanding is that he's saying he doesn't necessarily choose to be in these debates or conversations of one versus the other, but as his job as an evolutionist or a scientist, he feels, I mean, he's always going to kind of have this conversation because he feels with his evidence of evolution, I'm assuming he has done some of the work that we've watched together of uncovering, fossils and bones and all these things. But it's in his opinion. I am saying his opinion because I don't agree with that. But I also don't know enough about evolution to make it a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's just I believe what I believe. But he's essentially just saying like, yeah, I mean, what I know, what I've seen, the work I've done, and what I believe is an exact opposite of what it would be if there was a God, essentially, or any other supernatural power that any other religion believes. I think that's what I'm understanding. I think I'm getting that right.
And we need to educate people about it.
Many people in those traditions that you refer to now take evolution on board. Sometimes they do it in a theistic way. Sometimes they do it in a way that operates at the quantum level, so there's no interruption of the mechanism of the world. Some do it deistically. One person told me that it's much more difficult for God to have worked through evolution, and it's be a much cleverer God to work through evolution, because just to say, there's the dinosaur, just created, that's easy. If you
I see what he's saying. He's saying like a lot of people will say that essentially like, wouldn't it be more all powerful if God did work through evolution rather than just snapping his fingers and saying, and then there was light, and then there was humans, and then there was ocean, and then there, you know what I mean? I understand. I was a little confused when you first said
just to say, there's the dinosaur, just created, that's easy. If you can create, you're great. But to do it through evolution, starting with the plasma at the Big Bang and going through evolution to get that dinosaur, I mean, that's really clever.
No, it's pathetic. It's very unimpressive, because
he said it's
why
pathetic.
on earth would he choose to use the one method where he's not necessary? Write himself out of the script. Write himself out of the script.
He does not find.
I think there's no
as a laughing matter at all.
Support in biology. I think that if there's any support for supernaturalism, I don't think there is. But if there was any, it might come from physics, where you might say something like the fine tuning of the universe. And I don't think that's a good argument, but better than any biological argument anyway.
As religion has come up with these sort of ways to take evolution on board, is your feeling mixed? Happy in a
So what religions or who in these religions is taking evolution on board, I guess is my question. He's referred to this now twice, I believe. If someone knows in the comments, feel free to let me know like who or what he's referring to as far as taking evolution on board, meaning they are starting to adapt to that or believe in that or teach that in some ways. What I'm understanding, but I could be wrong.
On board, is your feeling mixed? Happy in a sense, then, because science has taught us science, and that you don't have that barrier in many cases anymore, even though they're saying things that you would think are wrong.
Well, I'm not sure I'm happy. Are you saying
Happy that religions at their highest level now take evolution on board, so they're not opposing the teaching of evolution in schools?
Well, I suppose in one way I am, because, yes, I mean, I'm glad of that, although in America at least, that's not really
It's not happening.
totally true.
No, it's certainly not totally true, and there's a
don't
large
know anywhere in
percentage
America.
that
Nor
it's
in the
not.
Islamic
happening?
world.
Yes,
More
that's
in
correct.
the
Both
Islamic
are correct.
world. Okay. Well, you
So
kinda
there is
just answered my question.
a great deal of opposition. And I think that the sort of so-called sophisticated theologians who accept the scientific worldview don't impress me very much, because I don't think they've really thought through the negative impact that has on their religious worldview.
You had mentioned that it's a scientific theory that there is a supernatural reality or being, but perhaps cannot be accessed or tested scientifically, but it's a scientific theory. I'd like to parse that a little bit and understand that, because I would have thought that it's not a scientific theory and it is inaccessible by the scientific method, which doesn't give it any more reification, but it's a self-protecting memechanism, like a moat around like a castle. You can't.
I see what you're saying. On the other hand, do you take my point that I made earlier that it would be a totally different kind of universe? You've probably seen that cartoon, the great blackboard full of 4 million.
Yeah.
And here a miracle occurs.
Right.
Okay, so again, if I'm understanding correctly, and I'm like talking this out, so I'm not trying to be right. I'm just trying to make sure, like regurgitating what I'm receiving. So he's saying that if religion were true, I guess religion on any religion, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Scientology, like any religion were true, the universe would just be completely different from what it is, and what it is being his theory or his belief in evolution. Like the world as we know it would not be what it is today if it were because of the supernatural power that is praised in most religions. Right? That's what he's saying. Is that what he's saying? That's what he's saying, right? It's a lot of, I love how thoughtful and slow to speak this man is. He reminds me a lot of my husband. Whoa, I'm okay. My husband is very slow to speak, and he really thinks about everything he's going to say. And I really appreciate people like that, because as someone who, y'all watch me word vomit every single day on the internet, I admire people who can really stop, hear a question, ask questions before they answer the question to make sure they are appropriately and accurately answering the question. Especially when I'm in a place of like trying to learn or at least respectfully understand, which is what I feel I'm doing right now. I'm not necessarily trying to change my point of view, but I am respectfully trying to learn and educate, because I just feel like that is the gateway to being a better person and more compassionate and kinder. But yes, I think that's what I'm gathering here. So if I'm gathering correctly, feel free to validate me, and if I'm not, feel free to correct me.
It would be a totally different kind of universe. You've probably seen that cartoon, the great blackboard full of 4 million. and here a miracle occurs.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think it's both a scientific theory and a betrayal of science, so.
That's interesting.
But it is a scientific theory in the sense that, as I said, it would be a very different kind of universe if there was a creator. It'd be, I mean, all bets would be off then. It would be a completely different enterprise that we're engaged upon when we try to understand what's going on.
Because it wouldn't. It could be that, but it wouldn't have to be that. I mean, God.
No,
could
but
have done it.
then you'd be totally free to say at any moment God could just intervene.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not terribly coherent.
No.
It's filming, the cinematography here was phenomenal. All right. I am always happy to hear your point of view. That was definitely, this is just all so new to me. I've never, I've always grown up in the Christian faith, and I know plenty of people. I'm related to people, as you know, my cousin Mr. Elboyd, who are agnostic or atheists, but the topic of evolution has not really ever come up. So this is all such a new thing to me. And I know a lot of Christians, in the Bible, it says you're not even supposed to entertain false idols. But in my, again, like I previously stated, I am not looking to change the way I think. I'm just looking to understand, which I don't find a problem with. So yeah, anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. As always, be kind to everyone. You never know what people are going through, and what they believe will never affect you. So don't bring people down, all right? Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, like this video, share it with someone you love, and go and have the day you deserve. Bye, guys.